Hello and welcome from TAM Conference in San Antonio Day 2. Today with us, Paul Turner, who has been absolutely famous amongst the TAM members for his TAM lecture that he gave in the internet. And can you please tell us, Paul, what it was and why was it so successful?
Well, to start with, I am a practicing Stoic, and with my conversations with the president of TAM, she was intrigued by what it meant and how it helped me in mediations. So I volunteered to give a TAM talk, and she scheduled me, and I had a great audience and interested participants. So it was a great time.
So tell us how then, just in short words if it's possible, Stoicism can help with mediations.
Okay, well, Stoicism is a rather ancient philosophy, 3rd century before the Common Era, and it was a bit more rigid and less flexible than maybe it is in contemporary terms. So what I've done is updated in my mind how true Stoicism can be applied to life. It's a life philosophy, and coincidentally it applies to my mediation practice. So I boil it down to the essence of, there are 4 what they call virtues, but I call them tenets of Stoicism: justice, temperance, wisdom, which we all wish we had, and courage. And I attempt to apply them day to day. And how it helps me is that, let me back up a little bit. Stoicism in Webster is dreadfully underrepresented. The short story in Webster is Stoicism means you don't have any emotion to anything. And of course that's not true. Stoicism is the ability to understand what is within your control and what is not within your control. I translate that into what is mine and what is not mine. And in mediations, much of the conversation, much of the effort that we pour into successful mediations is not mine. What is mine is the process. And what can happen if I'm not careful is the not mine, their anger, their angst that happens between them and can be translated directly to me. I have to remember that that's not mine. No matter how much they want to give it to me, it's my job to accept it or not. And I choose not to normally because mediation process is between 2 parties or 2 or more parties. And it's the not mine world. I manage the process, so the process is mine. And by doing it that way and thinking about it in those terms, I can be assaulted and have been by lawyers, by participants, and because that's not mine, that's theirs, it has little, if any, effect on me, because the only thing that's mine is the process and providing the atmosphere whereby I can help them find a solution to their dispute.
Interesting. Go ahead. So have you discovered that this, I guess, methodology of doing it this way helps you secure more agreement, or do you think it has had any kind of impact?
Well, it doesn't really have, as far as I can tell, a large impact on the agreement, whether they're satisfied with an agreement or not. But what it does do is it allows me to use all the other elements of mediation, effectively. So it's not the be-all and end-all of mediation, but it's the be-all and end-of all of my participation in a process that helps other people. And again, I can't overstate that the mine and the not mine helps people realize that they have things that aren't mine, and no matter how much they want to give it to me, I'm unwilling to accept it, so they have to deal with the other party that's in dispute.
Interesting.
So, how do you inform parties about the way you approach this entire process, and do you explain those basics of Stoicism as philosophy and as your own way of living?
Not normally. It can be a little over-intellectual, a little too much information, and again, that's mine, and I don't need to try to make it theirs. So they're here for a completely different reason. I use it to help myself navigate the terrain, which can be anywhere from cordial to combative, and allows me to stay the path of making sure that what I'm doing, understanding my emotional intelligence, understanding my mindfulness, there's a good point to be had there. Stoicism has many, many elements of what we now refer to in modern lingo, emotional intelligence and mindfulness. If you put those two concepts together and pattern them against Stoicism, updated Stoicism, of course, because Stoicism started 3rd century before Common Era, so that's a long time ago. If you look at them side by side, they are almost mirror images. So we have new names for concepts of what Seneca in the 3rd century BC thought up of as a way to deal with yourself and with life. Life is messy, and to think that it's otherwise is delusional. So how do you deal with messy life? Things will happen to you, and you choose, when it becomes mine, you choose whether to accept it and react to it emotionally, or to not accept it. So you are ultimately in charge. We did an exercise the other day in one of the sessions, and we closed our eyes, and we were asked to imagine being on top of a building and flying and everything else. And when we were done with it, the instructor said, "How did you feel?" And everyone had an emotional reaction to what they did. And I think what I discovered, and hopefully I made some comments, is that you are in charge of how you feel. No one else is, because you took charge of your mind and decided to fly. So if someone tries to give you things that you don't want, if they're combative, if they're angry, if they're personally vindictive, you get to choose, as a practicing Stoic, whether to accept it or not. If it's not good for you, you are in charge of your mind, and you can choose to not make it yours. So if I don't want it to be mine, it's not mine. Now it sounds simple. It's simple, but it's not easy. It takes a lot of practice. And by practicing day to day in the small dealings with people and circumstances, you can discover that in your profession, it has a positive impact on how you behave there as well.
Got it. So I have on the screen your website. If people want to learn more about you, that's mediateyou.com. Great name, by the way. And people can check him out, Paul out, same name as my brother. This is why it's always relevant to me. So check Paul out at mediateyou.com to learn more. So everyone, this is Mac and Natalia from TAM 2023, and we're signing off. And thank you so much, Paul, for talking to us about this topic today.
You bet. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you.